Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Instacart is on a mission to have you not leave the couch this basketball season. Because between the pre-game rituals and the post-game interviews, it can be difficult to find time for everything else. So let Instacart take care of your game day snacks or weekly restocks and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Because we hear it's bad luck to be hungry on game day. So download the Instacart app today and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees apply for 3 orders and 14 days, excludes restaurants. This podcast is brought to you by Aura. By the time you hear about a data breach, your information has already been exposed for months. On average, companies take 277 days to report a breach. That's 9 months where hackers have access to your personal data. That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Aura is an all-in-one digital safety solution that monitors the dark web for your phone number, email, and social security number, sending real-time alerts if your info is found. It also includes a VPN, password manager, and data broker removal to help keep you safe. For a limited time, Aura is offering a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and protect your loved ones. That's AURA.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.
As an intro, Cleves, I think you need to edit me in now saying that you have lost your mind.
This is Sting.
And this is Jimmy Nail.
And this is Top of the Pops.
I've had to change my barber because of his Tommy Robinson affiliation.
Oh, no,
fucking hell no.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you'd like a barber jacket then for a minute, Cleves. I just can't listen to it.
Anyway, this is what people should be listening to.
Let's go back in time and look at the mad world of insanity. The mad world of Victorian insanity through the prism of the insane 1970s.
Britain. An ancient kingdom with legends of violence, cruelty, and torment in its blood. Join your hosts, Ross, John, and James, as they bravely tread where few would dare. Witness their journey into the horrific history of British horror. They are the General Witchfinders.
Ladies and gentlemen, goblins and course, welcome back to episode 56 of the General Witchfinders podcast. I'm James in Bournemouth in southern England.
I'm John Pountney, and I was thinking I might get a new catchphrase because after 50... How many episodes did you say then, James?
56.
56.
56 numbered, and there's quite a few A and Bs as well, isn't there?
Oh, Lord. I might have to start saying something different because I get a bit bored of this South Wales bullshit. I mean, I'm in South Wales, and if you don't like it, fuck you.
Very
Trumpian.
Very
in keeping with our current age.
Yeah. And I'm Ross in Dorchester. I did that game without opening my can of Coke. I'm Ross in Dorchester in southern England, and this time... Oh, I didn't write this properly.
This time, we don't know where we are,
This time we watched The Creeping Flesh.
Man is an inquisitive creature, prodding and prying at every secret nature has hidden from him, probing deep into the mind, scavenging for the secrets of the past, horrifying secrets best left buried forever. You are looking at the very essence of evil itself. The undisputed masters of the macabre macabre.
It would appear that your research is following similar lines to my own.
Half-brothers, creating whole new heights in undiluted, flesh-creeping horror.
What are those black cells? How do you isolate them? And what association do they have with insanity? You'll have to tell me, you know. You would be utterly ruined professionally if it were learnt that you had experimented on your own family.
This is your mother's room.
Why didn't you tell me about her? Why? You said she was dead.
The subnormal, the supernatural, and the supreme evil. All of these come together to form the Creeping Flesh.
So, The Creeping Flesh is our first Tigon movie. Tigon was founded by Tony Tenser in 1966, releasing a wide range of films from Black Beauty to the sexploitation of Zeta 1. Ooh, okay. However, the bulk of its output consisted of low-budget horror films, competing directly with Hammer and Amicus Productions. Tigon's most famous films include the familiar... I can't even say that. Familiarly? No, familiarly... No, cut all that out.
It's Tigon anyway.
What is it?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Tigon's most famous films include the similarly titled Witchfinder General and Blood on Satan's Claw, which I'm sure we will get round to one day soon.
Hopefully not.
A Tigon is the offspring of a male tiger and a female lion. But then also in Napoleon Dynamite, he says that's a liger, isn't it? It's bred for its skills in magic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I haven't thought about Napoleon Dynamite in ages. This hybrid nature perhaps reflects the company's blend of genres and styles, merging horror with other cinematic elements. Tigon was based in the same building as its rival, Hammer, at Hammer House on Wardour Street in London.
I never knew that.
Imagine
that.
Bringing you all of the facts, John.
All the info.
Yes.
Yeah.
Passing on the stairs and saying, what have you got in production at the moment?
What have you got in?
Chaps, you know. Yeah, we've got Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, and so have we.
So have we. But we got Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Just wearing different wigs. Right, okay, so released in 1973, smack bang in our kind of target area for this podcast. The Creeping Flesh was directed by Freddie Francis, written by Peter Spenceley and Jonathan Rumbold, and starred Big Chris Lee, Peter Cushing, and Lorna Heilbron. Would we say?
Don't know. Heilbron, that sounds about right to me.
Heilbron?
Yeah, sounds good to me,
okay, yeah, Heilbron, thank you. Right, Freddie Francis replaced Don Sharp as director at the last minute, reflecting on Peter Cushing's performance as Emmanuel Hildon. Freddie said, Peter was excellent in it. He always is. He seemed to convince everyone that it was real. Even I listen to Peter talking all this rubbish on the screen, and I think, that must be true. Peter is the greatest guy at speaking unbelievable dialogue and making you believe it.
Yeah.
You prefer a target, a military target, then name the system. Amazing. He is really good as Moff Gideon. I haven't done that in a while. Right, anyway, so Freddie started his career as a Freddie...
You said Gideon.
Oh, what? Oh, did I? I don't care. I'll quit. Right, okay. Thanks. Is
it not Grand Moff Tarkin?
Yes, it is. It is. Yes, everyone. Let's point out that I know nothing about Star Wars.
Just a Moff. A Moff was like a lower.
Like a general, isn't it? And then the Grand...
so the Grand Moff.
Yes.
I thought you'd know that, James, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I should know that. But I'm sorry, I'm on half term. My brain's not quite up to its usual peak operating performance. Anyway, Freddie started his career as a cinematographer before moving into directing, only later to return to cinematography after feeling he'd become typecast in the horror genre. His career spanned over 60 years, from the late 1930s until the 2000s. One of the most celebrated British cinematographers of his time, he received numerous accolades, including 2 Academy Awards and 5 BAFTA Awards.
You wouldn't know it watching this film, would you?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was really shot really well.
Moments. Yeah. So, Freddie directed Paranoiac, which was an early starring vehicle for the great Oliver Reed, The Evil of Frankenstein, and Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. I don't know why I felt the need to say it like that. But, thanks. Cheers. Well, you get that feeling.
Better than the film.
During the 1970s, he worked mainly for Amicus Productions, notably directing the horror anthology Tales from the Crypts. He was also the uncredited director of the 1963 adaptation of Day of the Triffids. Interesting. And he went on to direct the little scene Son of Dracula in 1974, starring Harry Nilsson in the title role and Ringo Starr as Merlin the Magician.
Yeah, I remember.
Surely prime General Witchfinders body. I imagine nobody was sober during any day of that production.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Unbelievable lushes. Incredible
two of the biggest
drunks
drinkers going.
At the peak of they're getting pissness.
If it's possible to find it, I would like to watch it.
Yes.
I can't believe that Barbara Back's not involved, because Ringo often gets the good lady wife involved, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, love, come on, act in this. Anyway, so Freddie's first Academy Award was in 1960 for Sons and Lovers, a beautifully shot adaptation of D.H. Lawrence's novel that showcased his mastery of black and white cinematography. In 1961, he shot The Innocents, a film we hope to cover one day, apparently. After nearly 2 decades as a director, Francis returned to cinematography in 1980 with The Elephant Man. Not the last time we'll hear the late lamented David Lynch mentioned this evening. That's all I'll say, based on what we're going here. Yeah, which led to collaboration with the great David Lynch, who he also shot Dune and The Straight Story. Amazing.
No way.
Yes, and do you know his nickname for David Lynch?
No.
He called him Lucky. Right, he called him Lucky Lynch. There's the famous shot in The Elephant Man when Anthony Hopkins as Treves sees John Merrick for the first time. Like, get out here, but come on. They're treating him like an animal, and they bring him out to Treves, and Treves sees him, and then he kind of slowly zooms in on his face, and a single tear rolls down, and they literally the shot, if they just caught the single tear rolling down.
Amazing.
His face, and David Lynch said after that he always called me Lucky Lynch, which I just nice story. And
I've got no memory of actually watching The Elephant Man, so I've been trying to shoehorn this into. I think I have seen it, but I've never. I've got no memory of it.
Right, okay. He then went on to terrify a generation of children with his cinematography in Return to Oz in 1985.
What a career!
Yeah, amazing.
We're still going. We're still going.
Blows my mind.
Right.
Really.
He then won his second Oscar for the American Civil War film Glory, starring Morgan Freeman.
That's
and
insane.
Murderer Matthew Broderick.
Who was he murdered?
He hit someone over, didn't he?
He ran somebody over in Ireland and tried to pretend that it never happened.
Was that after Godzilla?
No, I think it's while he's been with Sarah Jessica Parker. I'll tell you that.
Is he the one in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes, it is the titular Ferris Bueller. Yes, and he then also this is Freddie, by the way. He earned acclaim. Yeah. Oh Jesus, James! He earned acclaim for his work on The French Lieutenant's Woman and Cape Fear. He also did Cape Fear. Wow!
Yes, I did know that actually.
Version,
yeah, and one of my favourite films of all time.
Yeah, and some amazing visuals in that as well.
Yes. When he's drowning, he's like, the Lord's my shepherd.
And let's not forget his camera work on music videos for Jimmy Nail's Beautiful, which I don't recall. And let's face it, if it's not Crocodile Shoes or Ain't No Doubt,
she's lying.
Exactly.
Shoes.
Now, I know we've already gone off topic straight away, but I remember when that record came out, there was a thing in the paper saying that some guy received either one of the first ASBOs or was taken to court because he kept playing that record repeatedly at maximum volume, and he tormented neighbours by playing it for 15 hours straight on repeat.
Ain't no doubt
Max now he's playing the sea. And that was really weird.
That's
suddenly
what
it's like,
I am.
Jimmy Nail from Afrida St. Peters is doing a pop record. Oh, it's number one.
Amazing. Yeah.
Really weird.
And he's basically just talking.
Yeah.
I remember the shock of it's a new number one on top of the pops. It's Jimmy Nail. And I was like, it's what? It's what? Because the other stuff around then was Two Unlimited, Wigfield maybe, and all that kind of stuff, wasn't it?
Jive
and then
Money.
and then it's like, what? It's Jimmy Nail.
Now, tonight we have
on the satellite from Paris. Luther Vandross is here, Sinead O'Connor is here, and Jimmy Nail is here.
Did he pave the way for Robson and Jerome, do you think, as well?
In many ways, I should think so.
Yes.
And he also did the video for All Saints Never Ever, which I am familiar with.
How long did this guy live? He was 100. He's also the world's oldest man. Right, just to carry on, James.
Tie it all off, yeah. Okay,
I love that video. Never ever, Freddie Francis.
Yeah, so filming for The Creeping Flesh took place in Surrey, of course, at Shepperton Studios and Thorpe House, which also served as a location for Craze, another film directed by Freddie the same year.
Do you reckon that's Thorpe Park? Do you reckon Thorpe Park went on to become Thorpe House became Thorpe Park?
He was 90 when he died, so he was born 1917 and he died 2007.
Yeah,
and a hell of an innings.
And what a fucking brilliant life.
What a career.
What an amazing life.
Just imagine some of the stories that he could have told you, all those people he worked with.
He's worked with, yeah.
He was active. He worked from 1937 to 1999.
Brilliant.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Carry on, James.
And it just says the cinematographer on this film was Norman Warwick, who shot the abominable Dr. Phibes. See our episode number 10 of this podcast for our exuberant, in inverted commas, praise on that one. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, as well, which I believe turned up a lot in that Hammer documentary that you went to see, Ross.
Yes, yeah.
They talk about that quite a lot, as well as this seminal Confessions of a Window Cleaner, seminal in more than one way, I think, for that generation. Yeah. Yes. Right, Anna Grant plays Emmanuel's daughter, Penelope. She has appeared in Taggart, Lovejoy, Dramarama for ITV Kids, and a drama called Spearhead about the troubles in Northern Ireland, which is not to be confused with Spearhead from Space. What do we know about Spearhead from Space?
Well, it was the only Doctor Who serial to be shot entirely on 16mm, which that's why it's such a great transfer to Blu-ray.
That's interesting.
Fantastic.
Incredible transfer.
And Nothing But the Night, which we covered on episode 42. She also appeared in Ace of Wands, another show we need to look at in the future, and the Blake 7 episode, Rumours of Death. We believe this film was the 20th that Big Chris Lee and Peter Cushing starred in together, with Lee playing Cushing's character's step or half brother, wasn't it? It says brother, but he doesn't.
Brother, yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, we'll come on to that in the fullness of time. We think it slots in between two other films that we've reviewed featuring this power couple. Horror Express, episode 7. More on that in a minute. And Nothing But the Night, episode 42. Now, if we've got this wrong, do feel free to correct us. You can find us on Blue Sky as General Witch, all one word. Now, long-time listeners may be asking, where's the Boone connection? Something we've started to find as a golden thread running through most of the things that we cover. Well,
still
I can see you building up to that.
Lone Ranger.
I thought, because I've got the script up, I thought John was having like a seizure for a minute.
He's angry.
I am angry. To rescue me.
Well, one of the writers on this film, Peter Spenceley, according to IMDb, only wrote one film, this one. But he had a busy career as an editor from the late 1970s right up to 2012, when his most recent credit was as an editor on High School Mums. And you guessed it, in 1987, he edited 3 episodes of Boone.
Yes.
Take your drinks now. There you go. I can now take my glasses off.
Maybe he wrote the sequences where there's no dialogue.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, just so we edit them in this order. Yeah.
Right then. Well, let's get absolutely stuck into this one, because I think there's quite a lot to discuss.
It's basically exactly the same story as Horror Express, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that is my note on page number. Hold on a second. You will notice, and once again, this is like on Countdown, where they go, "Oh, can we see your workings?" And and they have to hold it up to the camera. Not for the first time tonight. You can see that it says, this is the same plot as Horror Express.
Absolutely, yeah. You've dug up something, you've taken it somewhere, and now it's coming back to life.
Yes. Exactly that. But we do start off with what I've put down as some funfair artwork from Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
At the start. It starts off with him working on this painting. It's not the best quality painting. It would
Lots
be
of flying fingers.
Like if a member of your family did it, you'd go, yeah, nice. Yeah, great. Keep going. Keep working on it.
It also looks nothing like the monster later on, does it?
Yes, correct.
It slowly pulls back from this painting with some weird kind of like Wild West font over the top of it.
Yes. Not gothic for once.
But then you see Peter painting in this all-white room with lots of with
scientific
equipment, and it reminded me of his TARDIS in, I can't remember which one is it.
It's very TARDIS-y. Yeah, the second one, I think, Dalek's Invasion of 2150 AD.
Yeah.
I think there's a colon.
Yeah, so he pulled back, and he's talking to... he's requested a medical doctor to sort of tell the story to, hasn't he?
Another weird-looking 70s man with a back-to-front haircut.
And you
see last week's episode.
Who doesn't talk.
Yeah,
you do hear the sonorous tones of big Chris Lee. It's unmistakably Chris Lee going, "Your visitor is here to see you, Doctor."
Yes. So that's a bit of a hint to the...
as to what is going to go down here.
Yeah.
But at the time, I just thought maybe they were just... My initial thoughts were, maybe they were just like really short for... They couldn't afford to pay someone to do the dialogue, so they just said to Chris on the way out,
"Can you
Chris,
do
just
this?
say that into a microphone, mate. You sound good."
That was my thought as well, James, because I've done a few films where I've had to pop in as... where they forgot to cast people. As we've talked about this, I think, in previous episode, where I had to pretend to be a builder finding a body in a film for the Iris Prize, where I had to say the immortal line, "There's a body in the basement," because they'd forgotten to cast someone to say the line.
Yeah,
so I said,
all the edited it together, and no one's actually mentioned this. You know.
Yes, so I had to do it on set on the day. What I found interesting, firstly, with the title sequence was that Christopher Lee is billed above Peter Cushing, Sir Peter Cushing, but actually has a lot less screen time than Peter, which I thought was a bit of an insult to Peter, wasn't it? Because was Christopher Lee a bigger star than Peter Cushing? Is
Possibly,
this
but I imagine
Scaramanga or something like that? You
No,
know?
I'm not sure.
Quite. That was a couple of years later, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, I
Golden
would
Gun
say
is like
so,
74, isn't it, or 75?
I think so.
I just imagine this is just like his agent, isn't it? I remember seeing something as someone who likes films. I remember someone once saying, or reading something saying, the order that people's names appear in poster on either A on the poster, that's always a big deal. And if it says and the person's name at the end, that all gets negotiated.
Yeah.
That's also things about them putting them
side by side
rather on top above each other and stuff. Yeah,
Peter, you don't mind me having first billing in this studio, of course. Of course not, Peter. You don't mind.
Maybe it was like Shatner and Nimoy, where they would just take it in turns.
William Nimoy and Leonard Shatner.
Yeah, apparently what they used to do for the movies is they would take it in terms of being the dick who would hold off to try and get more money because they had some kind of thing where they would get the same amount of money, so they would take it in terms of being the one saying, "I'm definitely going to do it," and the other one would say, "I'm not going to do it unless I get more money."
I am not Spock. I haven't got notes for the start of the film because I watched it in two chunks, so I've only got notes for the second half of the film. So I started looking at my notes here going, none of this makes sense, but then I realised I haven't got notes for the start of the film. But I think straight away you can tell basically that Peter Cushing is in some kind of mental hospital, can't you?
You can tell. My notes were, I put strange that there's a minimal backdrop.
Yes.
And that it's not an actual set. It's not a lab set.
Yeah.
So straight off you think something's not right here.
Something's not right here,
Or it's going to be like one of those weird sort of 70 films where it's all a little bit like Dr. Phibes and they got like weird sets and stuff. So
yeah, it's very Avengers-y and in that way it's also very Dr. Phibes-y. But then...
But he does look fucked at this point. And I was thinking, has his wife recently died? But then the next scene, he's looking lovely. He's got a nicer wig on. He hasn't got the beard and stuff. So
his wife died the year before, or maybe the same year that they filmed this. So it's very close to Helen's death. Yes. I feel like we've lived through that death with Peter
over and over.
Over and on this podcast. But it's incredible how much he worked
through
around.
it. Yeah.
Well, this is the busiest year, I think, we're looking at the things. I think he just threw himself into his work.
It's very tragic to think that he'd lost his wife and then just thought, the only thing I can do is work to kind of not go mad, which is...
Or unless she held him back and said he couldn't go.
Just said, Peter, stay in the loft and make your models.
I was about to say, stop spending all our money on your miniatures. We could be in a palace by now, man.
I've got to say, before we review it, I think his performance does save this film in lots of ways.
In this one, yeah.
Yes. And I think the fact that he wasn't more kind of cherished and championed in his lifetime is very sad, because I think he was a brilliant actor and a lot better than a lot of the other actors.
I think this is the first one I actually noticed how good he was at acting.
Well, he's a far better actor than Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee is the same in every film. He walks in,
and I may be mentioning that later.
He looks supercilious. He talks in a deep voice. He does this pointing thing with his hand. And then that's all he does.
He's tall and he's got a great voice.
That's all imposing. He's very good at barking orders.
Yes.
That's going to be my comment from later.
Sake, man. Get the chopper or what, whatever.
That's his Charlemagne heritage coming through.
Yes, you know it. Bossing around the peasants. So yes, we are told early on that that Peter Cushing's character, he is a scientist of some repute, although he's trying to win, like, I've already forgot the name of whatever the prize is. Whatever their bigwig 1893 scientific prize.
It's like the Jaeger prize or something, isn't it? Something like that.
And they could win £10,000 for it.
Yeah, which he needs because he hasn't got no money. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because we've been told that he spends money like water. He's not very good with
so he's fucking off to New Guinea.
And yes, he is returned from Papua.
He's basically a sex tourist, isn't he?
That's one way of looking at it, perhaps. Yes, he is returned from Papua New Guinea
with Dave Prowse's skeleton.
I thought, I wonder who the guys are going to say the skeleton is like. And it's interesting you've gone early, Ross, with Dave Prowse.
Well, before you said it was mine, I had to get in there.
Right. This is why I wasn't going to say it was like yours, because it's because of the teeth. It hasn't got a teeth and a jaw like yours, mate. I didn't think you.
I didn't really think of anyone. I just thought, why is it still joined together?
I Googled during this, do skeletons stay together?
No, they don't.
They just fall to beat. And the teeth are part of the skull. They're not individual.
Yes.
It's so badly made, and
it's very badly
and they
conceived.
do keep doing close-ups of it.
Yes, over and over, they do suggest that perhaps, like, to start off with, the feeling is that he has found perhaps something akin to the missing link, akin to a Neanderthal, but it does quickly become apparent that it's supposed to be like a demigod, isn't it?
Like an Enochian.
So something is
because he's
not
buried underneath the strata where you would find Neanderthal.
Yes.
So they're much older. So very similar to the Quatermass.
And the pit.
The pit. Yes.
Yeah.
So same kind of vibe, isn't it? So he is like, this is it. This is going to be my ticket back to success. As he returns to his very, very stately home.
Ignoring his lovely daughter.
We're introduced to his daughter. We see that he basically ignores the classic Cockney delivery men who have helped bring in this.
One of whom is Michael Ripper.
Ripper.
I've seen him in the credits. We're going to have Michael Ripper in this film, and then he's only in one scene. Which is really annoying. Which is the only bit really of comedy in the film where he's waiting for a tip and he doesn't get a tip. And I think that's where a lot of the Tigon films often break down, is that they don't have that attention to detail that the Hammer films have, where they have a little bit of humour and the pacing is different. Whereas this kind of starts really well and then they kind of forget where they're going with it halfway through.
Yeah, and Michael Ripper says £10,000, which is my note here. And then we go through the whole. Well, it's good you need to win it because you're virtually out of money. The daughter says, we've struggled to survive while you've been in Papua New Guinea.
And I've just let one of the women go.
And I've thought, Christ, it's tough being an upper class person, isn't it? Well, what a tragedy it is.
Imagine having to make your own dinner.
Yes. So he then, sorry, I'm already doing the dreadful thing I always get annoyed at us for doing, not saying the character or the person. So
Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing, thank you, Ross.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing then heads off to meet Big Chris Lee. Now, this is where it gets interesting for us. First of all, I've noticed excitedly, I've put, my God, they're brothers. This is surely the first time this has ever happened.
I would have thought so, yeah.
We then learn in a bit, it's actually half brothers. But the deal is that Big Chris Lee is in fact a psychiatrist / psychologist. It's 1893. We're coming up to my interesting point in a minute here, so brace yourself, you two. Right? And we learn that, oh my God, Big Chris Lee also wants to win the £20,000 scientific prize. And he feels that he is close to making a big psychological breakthrough too, which will help explain madness.
Yes.
Big deal. Now,
he's the proprietor of a mental asylum, which is something which we a very common trope in these type of films. You've got
the set of which, and I can't remember if they go into the set at this point, looks very similar to the set of Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. The multiple doors coming off a central kind of hallway, and I don't know if they kind of reused that for Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. It wouldn't surprise me because that was the same year. What year was this, Cleve?
72, 3, one of them.
Yeah, so it was filmed in the same year, so they might have bought the standing set off Tigon and redressed it.
Yeah.
So this is my one and only what I think is a mildly interesting point. Be interested to see what you think about it. And what I put in my notes was this is yet another film where the birth of psychology is used to kind of illustrate the horror or to understand the horror. We got it in Hands of the Ripper
last week,
didn't we? Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, similar sort of thing. And I thought, now this is and I highly recommend, if you haven't watched Days Dark and Woodlands Bewitched, which is the epically long but brilliant documentary all about folk horror.
Yeah. Oh, I think my friend Richard was talking about this to me.
It's very good. It is in the UK. It's currently on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it for free. Okay. Highly, highly recommend it. Now, what they say in that is they say one of the hallmarks of folk horror is that the horror is beneath you, just waiting to be uncovered. Because of our history in Great Britain and how old we are as a country, that is the ongoing kind of the atmosphere and the sense is that the horror is buried underneath us. And they then spoke about America, and they said, well, why doesn't America have this? And they said, well, because America is a newer country, and it is so big.
Yeah.
And because of the sheer size and space of America, horror is always out there, in inverted commas. The horror is always out in the darkness, waiting to come and get you.
Particularly for people who went and discovered in inverted commas a frontier,
Yes, right. So there's that, and then I thought
big forests and stuff like that.
Is this kind of or this period in the 1970s? Looking back at the late 1800s, this is the notion that perhaps the horror is in us. And I thought, maybe this is something, and maybe this dear listener, if you're interested in that, does anyone else think that there might be something in this?
Yeah.
The idea that all of a sudden this notion of, well, we're doing a horror, but we're going to try and understand what's going on from a psychological perspective. And I thought, well, that's weird that we've just seen, if we take the Nicholas Lyndhurst thing out of the equation, that's two things that made a very, very similar time using the lens of, let's look back at the turn of the century. Oh, look, that's the birth of psychology. Can we understand horror through psychology?
Yeah, and also can we identify, and something which we come on to in a bit, can we identify what the essence of evil and get rid of it?
Define. It's interesting here, and I think what the massive mistake that the film makes is to equate insanity with evil.
Yes.
Because I think that straight away, you're just like, what on earth are they talking about? And I think that really confuses.
But they kind of imply that the insanity is caused by evil.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than the insanity is evil.
Yeah, but potentially, yeah. But I think there's... go on. Let's carry on, because I think it's quite a... Yeah, it's quite a faulty film that makes some interesting points, but then fundamentally never follows them anywhere.
Yes.
Well, it's going okay so far for me. So I think, and this is what also we discover that Peter Cushing's wife has been committed to the asylum
This is the most problematic part for me.
And has
the story
died.
arc with the wife is just
mad,
nonsensical and offensive.
And has died. Whilst he's
very recently.
Yeah, whilst he's been away. In Papua New Guinea.
Yes.
But then when we go, he basically says, "You can't tell this to my daughter because it's apparently the daughter thinks she's already dead. She died previously and didn't know she was in the asylum."
Yes. So his wife was a music hall kind of entertainer, wasn't she?
Yes.
So what's very weird here is that we've done without knowing, we've done a trilogy of weird Victorian psychodramas.
Yes, we have.
This is basically what happened in one of the episodes of Gary Sparrow, isn't it? Where he meets and falls in love with, I can't think of a name now.
Yvonne.
Is it Mary Lloyd? I think it's Mary Lloyd, isn't it, supposedly? Is it Yvonne?
That's his wife.
Yeah.
Or the other one? That's his
Phoebe,
wife in the present day, is it?
Yvonne.
Phoebe is the one in the past.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, this film kind of continues that kind of vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where straight-laced Peter Cushing has met and fallen in love with this kind of racy...
Yeah, someone who's... Well, we're kind of sort of jumping ahead here a bit, but it's
carry on.
But we discover that she has multiple partners.
But we should also then point out so after this very, very fiery confrontation between Big Chrisley and Peter Cushing, after Peter Cushing leaves, we do get a bit more of a glimpse as to Big Chrisley's asylum.
Yeah.
Number one, he's doing all kinds of experiments featuring electricity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I noted, once again, it's our second and not final mention of David Lynch this evening, the sound effect that they use for electricity, he used it, that's used in Twin Peaks.
All right,
no way.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm doing a rubbish version of it here.
Yeah.
But if you watch any episode...
sound,
if you watch any episode of Twin Peaks, at the end it says a Frost Lynch production over like a pulse of electricity. And it's exactly the same electricity sound effect. I was like, oh, interesting. More on that later.
Bizarrely, though, like Twin Peaks was probably only about 17 years after this.
Which is mad. Absolutely crazy to think that.
When was it, 1990? Was that
1989?
Yeah,
1989.
So like 16, 17 years. Which the difference in production values alone is like ginormous.
Well, night and day, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
and then during this little tour of the asylum, we learn that one of Big Chrisley's patients gets loose.
Yep.
And makes a break for it. And then I put in capital letters the Chris bit. Everyone, you may either want to take your headphones out your ears at this point. I'm going to go for the Big Chrisley here. Get after him, man! Sound the alarm! is his line. There you go. Get after it. And then we get the kind of a really good kind of alarm sound. And it reminded me, Ross, of when you used to live at Harrington House, which was an old Victorian converted asylum that still had the alarm bell up at the top.
Yeah.
Did we come there, Cleves?
Yeah. When I had my green Punto.
Yes. Go Perry's.
Yes, that was a sticker on the back.
Go Perry's. Go Perry's. Go Perry's. The escape of the man from the asylum is just the biggest waste of time.
It's such a weird side story. I see why they did it, but it takes up too much time and it's really odd.
Well,
so he
I think it'd be boring without all these side steps in it.
Yeah, they wouldn't make an hour without it. It very much does feel like padding.
And also, Chrisley says to Peter Cushing that I'm not giving you any more money as well.
Yes.
It turns out that he's been bankrolling him the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is this the part where you can insert my voice note from earlier, Cleves? Remind me to make this point later, or just use this bit, Cleves, because I was just thinking, and otherwise I'll forget. The guy that escapes, bust a blood vessel. No reason for him to be in the film at all. Besides causing a bit of a fuss in the pub. And then he's dispatched by the daughter. I thought, because he's been in the asylum with Peter Cushing's wife, and she's recently died, that he has escaped to give some kind of message to Peter Cushing, go to the house, which I think that would have been a far better reason to have him in the film than just to be brawling and then fall off a high building, which I think isn't that exactly the same as a Dickens. Doesn't someone fall off a high building in a Dickens in a very similar way in the Docks? That's my point, and I've made it. If I forget to bring it up later, you just stick this in the podcast, please. John Pountney, news at 10. Creeping flesh.
Back Peter Cushing goes to his manse, where his lab is, and then we get the kind of his initial experiments on the big, weirdly joined up skeleton. And here we go.
It's a kind of a cross between a Klingon and a Predator as well.
Weird.
That's that was
weird.
Actually the working title of this film.
And what we then get is we get some stop motion animation.
Yeah, he gets the finger wet, and it's quite similar to like the meltdown they did in Hellraiser.
Yes, but the other direction, isn't it?
Just reminded me once again of Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer video.
Yeah. Well, the bit where Peter Gabriel grows into a penis.
Yes, well, we've got to probably discuss the literal elephant in the room, that unfortunately the appendage, the finger that grows back does look somewhat like a giant cock.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said those words. You might need to speak that out.
It looks like a gentleman's member.
Yes.
That's better, John. Thank you. And yeah, it looks really, really odd.
Yeah. So basically, if you get the skeleton wet, it will grow its creeping flesh back onto that part of the body.
Which
so far so good and full of interesting ideas and kind of like missing link, mental asylum. There's lots of gothic tropes here, and I'm thinking
it's just all been thrown in, isn't it?
And I'm thinking this is really good up to now, and I really like the bit with the finger. And we've been introduced, I think, at this point, haven't we, to the assistant of Peter Cushing, who is the vicar from A Warning to the Curious, which is the year before, or maybe even shot the same year. If this came out in 1973, it might have been the same year. Who is really a really interesting character in this, but then is killed off quite unceremoniously and annoyingly later on. But so the kind of pseudoscience and the fake kind of science around these sequences is really interesting, isn't it? And it's like, if you get water on it, it grows flesh and stuff. And I'm like, this is great. When are we going to get to see this monster? Like, what's the kind of we did bursting in the ceiling that kind of spray and
you keep hearing, like I thought any moment that was going to happen, which you keep hearing running water, and also and a fucking monkey squawking the whole time, and he's got loads of stuffed apes around, but they're like sitting on chairs and stuff.
It's a very odd look, isn't it? Now, I didn't want to jump ahead, but they do then give you an explanation as to why water is reacting.
So fucking bizarre. This is like where they make a massive leap. Well, it's almost like, I've got some books in the other room which will explain all this to me. So he sends his assistant next door to go and get them, but the vicar, who leaves the key in the lock, and then the daughter grabs the key, essentially.
This is where it's like, to me, they've taken the script to someone and someone has said, you've got 30 minutes material here, you've got to make it, you've got to do more. And it's like, the daughter at this point steals the key and... This is where it all starts to go a bit wrong here, because it's like the story is what happens with the fucking skeleton on the plinth, not the daughter going and
I quite like that bit.
I thought it was just tedious.
I thought it was dull. I thought it was dull as well. Right.
Anyway,
so
let's do the skeleton story first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. So what we learn, or what Peter Cushing suggests, is that this is the skeleton of some kind of demigod in some way, and it's been buried down. And what he says is, First of all, I put, this is really rude. He says, well, where the skeleton was buried, it will take about 3,000 years for that to become uncovered.
Yes.
In about 3,000 years' time, the people of New Guinea will have developed science.
Yeah, to the level I'm at now.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that's a bit much. Come on, mate. But anyway, and so he's like, and then when they do discover him, and when he does get it, he will get wet. And it says in their scriptures that there is, a great, the powers of
good and evil and stuff.
The powers of the flood will resurrect him, and then he will be resurrected, and then he will be able to destroy evil.
Oh, no, he is evil, I think.
He is evil, I think.
Oh, I'm not sure how resurrecting a giant demigod destroys evil, but go off.
No, he is.
Go for it, mate.
So then he makes the massive jump of logic that he's got the evil in him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he sort of cuts the end off the giant phallus.
Yes.
Gets the blood out, smears it all around.
Smears it on.
There's a lot of science. There's a lot of science at this point.
I found the idea really interesting that in the future, we're talking about some kind of future war where this creature will be awakened and battle these people in the future. But then that part's totally forgotten as well. And I thought that part sounds really interesting. You found some kind of warrior from a future war who is the essence of evil, but then all you're going to do now is cut the end off his penis finger and smear it around and then take ages focusing on a fucking microscope.
Yeah, with some kind of fungal infection on his finger. You saw so much of Peter Cushing's fingernails in this film. There's so many close-ups of him scraping things around and stuff.
Yeah, it just there's so many ideas in the first half an hour which are not explored and forgotten, and then you're just like, there's some really interesting close-ups of these weird black creepy spider things.
Yeah, so the evil blood cells. So this is what, like, this always happens. The first theory they come up with is the right theory, and they can extrapolate from that. Complete massive leaps of logic, which again are true.
Just from a book he's got in the living room.
Yeah. So,
basically,
so they got these black blood cells with like wiggly lines on them, and those are evil. So then they decide, okay, well, obviously I've got good blood. So if I put my good blood with it, the evil blood attacks his good blood cells.
Yeah.
I was wondering how they did that effect in like 1970s. That was quite well done.
I think it was very well done, and some of the best imagery of the film, and I don't know how they did it really.
Yeah.
I think it was really well done, and again, really interesting kind of idea, but it just doesn't go anywhere.
So then he decides, I can work out some kind of inoculation. So if you have a little bit of the evil blood, your body will then become immune to it, and then no evil will be able to get into you.
And you'll turn good.
Yeah.
That in essence in the film is a cure to insanity rather than badness, which I think really lets the film down because it just doesn't make sense.
So he tests it out by sticking it into some poor monkey, which they were badly treating in this film.
Yes, one of my notes later on was animals were mistreated during the making of this film. One clearly looks like it's dying.
Or dead. Yeah, it's twitching before it dies. One has been strangled while Peter Cushing sticks a needle into it.
It's not a good look.
No, it's not good at all.
Right.
No.
And then they go, oh, it's worked. Okay, I'll go and stick this in my daughter.
Well, it's basically like, the monkey's still alive, therefore it's worked. And it's like, what?
Yeah, how would you know? How would you know if that monkey's got evil inside it or not?
Yes. Now, meanwhile, with our other plot, the newspaper reports that a dangerous lunatic escapes. And again, Ross, I thought maybe that might be a T-shirt for the shop. Dangerous lunatic escapes.
Yep.
And so Big Chris Lee is absolutely enraged that the press have got hold of this story.
Is this what he's doing? His disco lights?
Yeah, that's right. And then basically plot turns up, the police turn up, and there's a really brilliant kind of like back and forth saying, well, is this man dangerous? And, all the rest of it. I should also point out this is after Big Chris Lee has shot a patient who's tried to escape, which is great. But in short, the summary of this scene goes something like this. Are your security arrangements satisfactory here? Fuck off. Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Bye.
Well, obviously not because he escaped,
Yeah, that's right. And he says, I must ask, are your security arrangements up to par here? And he's like, how dare you even ask me that? You know full well they are. And he goes, all right, fine, okay. And I was like, that's the worst investigation I've ever seen in my life.
But,
dreadful.
So the experiment which Christopher Lee is doing to solve insanity is flashing coloured lights at people.
Yes,
apparently, and that's what he's going to win the prize with.
Yeah, it's
Have I
all
seen
very
flashing coloured lights.
Yeah,
and sort of like the sound. It's all sounds like something that would have been played at like 1 o'clock in the morning on John Peel back in the day. It's or these days it would be album in the top 10 albums of the year on the Quietus website. Yeah, I put down. I bet that it would be called Artificially Simulated Hearts, and their album of noises recorded inside a Victorian asylum using only authentic electronic equipment from the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you see the thing I put on Blue Sky today where they've made a digital version of all the equipment from Radiophonic Workshop, so you can go and play around with it all?
That sounds good.
But it's about 100 quid to do it.
That's good. Yeah, less than that. So yes, so they're very, very worried about the escaped prisoner. We then also see the escaped prisoner, and what I put is, in many ways, he is like cheeky wannabe spy Daniel Khalifa, who we've had in this country recently.
Who underneath the van.
Yeah, to escape from prison. And then told a load of Iranians that he'd give them the names of some people from the SAS. One of my favourite tweets I saw at the time that just said, wouldn't it be amazing if, yes, he was really doing that, but when he met the Iranians, there was just one name on the list, Ant Middleton.
Ross Kemp. All right.
Are you talking about him?
Yeah.
But he hasn't got any hair.
Oh, he's talking about his method of escape. Yeah.
His escape, because he puts himself into like a bag, doesn't he? He sort of puts himself into a bag of post. Or away. That, there's something like that, isn't there?
I'm sure when we watch these films, like for each of us gets one bit taken out because John didn't see the flashlight bits. I've got no memory of this bit.
I honestly have no memory of this part whatsoever. And I watched the whole film.
Okay, well, so
this
he is on
guy
the run.
That looks like Buster Bloodvessel, yeah,
that's right. He does look like Buster Bloodvessel from the ska pop group Bad
Manners. You know when you've been tangoed.
Special brew and all of that business.
This podcast is brought to you by Aura. By the time you hear about a data breach, your information has already been exposed for months. On average, companies take 277 days to report a breach. That's 9 months where hackers have access to your personal data. That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Aura is an all-in-one digital safety solution that monitors the dark web for your phone number, email, and social security number, sending real-time alerts if your info is found. It also includes a VPN, password manager, and data broker removal to help keep you safe. For a limited time, Aura is offering a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and protect your loved ones. That's AURA.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.
Okay, we then also, we get, and then once again, this is the point when I thought, my God, this film really didn't need this. And this is our recurring theme that we've had a couple of times here of they needed to pad this out. Despite the fact that the following 2 lines of dialogue would have absolutely done the job here, which is Peter Cushing going, I loved my wife. She was a beautiful woman. She was incredibly talented, but I lost her to madness and I couldn't do anything about it. She lost control. There you go. Instead, what we have to have is a very, very long flashback as we get their entire relationship and her going absolutely, as my grandfather, the one who arrested Diana Dawes, would have said, drinking from the doolally tap.
Yeah,
that's what's happened to her.
Yeah, so this is because the daughter, who a recurring theme in these things, doesn't matter how old you are, if you're a daughter of Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing, you're just like a innocent child, even if you're in your late 20s. So she gets into into her mother's room. And this is, I think, the first occasion of people hearing voices like echoing from
yes.
Yeah, there's lots of like recurring dialogue being echoing, so in case you've forgotten what people have said. Goes in there and she's got all the posters up from when she was in like their version of like the Moulin Rouge and stuff, and her sort of
Folie Bergère.
Yeah, and her sort of feathery clothes and stuff. And from this she kind of
feathery clothes. They're playing in Glastonbury next year, aren't they?
Hey.
She manages to imagine, or we just see a flashback of Peter Cushing falling in love with her on stage. The show seems to be of like her lifting her skirt up a little bit and kicking around a little bit.
Oh, showing off her ankles.
Whilst men in capes, smoking joints and looking through binoculars.
They're playing Glastonbury next year, Men in Capes.
Yeah,
capes. Yeah, they're supporting the artificially stimulated hearts on the pyramid stage at 2:00 on Sunday.
Stage. This is the bit that I have the most problem with, is that it shows a woman with a sex drive as being insane.
Yes.
Which is just ludicrous. It's ludicrous in Victorian times. And it was ludicrous in the 70s. And it's a gothic trope, but this is the problem with the film for me, is this is where it all unravels. And this is the wife, who we never really meet in the flesh, was not really insane.
No.
And I
she was
think
just put in an asylum, but she has sex with more than one man in her life.
Yes. And I think that would make much more sense as a film and as a standpoint than the kind of just stupid mess that we get from here on in, which is the bit. It's just non-scripted rubbish after this, isn't it? It's a real shame where they've set up all these ideas and then they're just like I said to you, but potentially in the voice note or in my own head, it's like they went in one morning and there was no script and they're like, oh fuck, we're going to have to film something
here
because we've had loads of money from that gangster to make a film, so we better make something. You know, we've got Peter Cushing here. We can't leave him sat on set in his slippers when he could be at home in bed with Christopher Lee.
Yeah, crying about his Helen. So when the flashback ends, she's wearing the mother's clothes and playing on the piano, and then Peter Cushing comes upstairs thinking his wife's back alive for some reason. But how did... what happens from this point on, which leads him to inject his daughter with skeleton blood, with cop finger blood?
This is the problem for me. It's that insanity in this film, insanity or mental health issues equal evil.
Yeah,
and then it's like, well, I'm going to cure her of these mad urges that her mother suffered from by injecting her with this serum I've just developed from this skeleton I found in Papua New Guinea.
The skeleton's cock finger. And
you're like, Peter,
and my vigorous testing was I put it in a monkey and the monkey went to sleep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just like, Peter, you're the one that looks mad now. This is what I always think in Uncanny, which is when they talk to the guy, Dr. Kieran O'Keefe, who is the skeptic, the skeptic's reasoning for what happens with the hauntings always sounds much more insane than just saying, well, that's obviously a ghost.
Yeah. Or it's like, saying they imagined it, which is effectively...
it's like, you know, a 25-mile-an-hour wind through someone's home could move a book. It's like, imagine a 25-mile-an-hour wind through your house. It wouldn't just be moving the book, it would be moving the whole house.
No, but that allows you to have 15 minutes of... just named Johnny Robbins or whatever
Danny
Robbins in a wind tunnel.
So with this film, it's like, my daughter's gone in a mother's bedroom, which I've kept from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's got upset because she's realised her mother has only recently died. Now I'm just going to inject her with this shit that I've got from this fucking skeleton.
Yeah.
It's like, for fuck's sake.
So meanwhile, Buster Rhymes is looking for a window.
Buster Rhymes.
Buster Rhymes. I haven't thought about Buster Rhymes for literally about 25 years.
Got you all in check. we're very... What then happens is, so we see that our escaped criminal maniac finds his way into a pub, basically starts running his hands over a drunken, bawdy lady.
Yeah. Ollie's buy me a drink, please, lovey.
Darling. Or so, the usual.
Which is a flashback to Hands of the Ripper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly that.
It's
and then he starts to strangle her.
And the oblong box.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's basically the pub from the oblong box. And it's like, you've co-opted a scene from another film from 2 years before and just reworked it. And it's like, this is what I thought. It's like, they've come in and they've got, oh, shit, we've got no script. What happened in the oblong box? Oh, yeah, the madman came in.
What works?
And he killed someone and slit their throat. It's exactly what happens in this film.
So, yes, he then starts to strangle this woman. She screams for help. The pub then is galvanized into action. A huge fight scene begins where numerous people are shown to be useless at fighting, despite the fact that you think they'd be quite handy. One sailor leaps off of a table onto the guy, and I put down that was good, and that was good kind of fight thinking. I like that. Yes, if you're going to surprise the guy, leap off the table at him. But again, no effect whatsoever. The guy, our maniac just throws him off, and then another guy, he just runs past him. Did you see that? Watch it again. He just goes like, and just runs past, and as he runs past, the maniac just sort of kicks him or hits him on the back.
Someone gets a table in the face. That's quite good.
Yeah. And my notes here are: someone please use a weapon. No one picks up a weapon. He's the only one. It's like just hit him over the head with something.
Yes. All I've written down is love a brawl. The barman finishes his pint, which is a very Roger Moore Bond thing where you've got the guy who's always drinks a drink, then looks at his drink, and then tips the rest away. Like when you see the
Lotus,
the double take pigeon, or you've got. Is there a guy who ends up in a reservoir that is totally empty and he's in a fishing boat and he's just does a double take there? So that's I think this is the genesis of that original idea, isn't it? This film.
Yeah. Sorry. So cut back to Peter Cushing. The next morning, his assistant goes, "Quick! You must come quickly!" While he's shaving, and we find that the monkey that they've injected has died, and this is when I put,
or he's at least twitching.
Yeah,
a monkey was harmed in the making of this film. This wouldn't pass muster these days. Yeah, Peter Cushing is aware that his daughter is now on the run. She's escaped, and cut back to the East End, and now the daughter goes into a pub. And I know in my note, and this is what I put in my notes. This is the same pub.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same.
And it's all put
pub.
back together.
But now this is where I'm like, now hang on a minute. Is it supposed to be the same pub?
It's got all the same people in it.
But that's what I mean. Did they think people would notice? Exactly. That made no sense whatsoever.
Has her hair changed colour?
No.
Okay. Because
I don't think so. This is quite hard to say. There's an establishing shot that says the Blue Anchor, and I can't remember if you saw that earlier in the film. Sorry, I've got loads of peanut choco in my mouth now. So it's quite hard to tell. It's exactly the same pub. It's been smashed up. I think they fixed the door. You see a few planks on the door, but it's like, where'd they got all this furniture from? Because all the furniture was smashed to pieces in the previous scene, wasn't it? What I did notice before the sequence is that the policeman is the driller Slatton from Quatermass and the Pit.
All right. What, the Hammer version? Okay, yeah.
The guy that runs towards the tea van and makes all the saucers fly off. And lies on the floor and the floor starts undulating.
Yes.
So that's him. I can't remember his name, but he's a very good actor.
I thought her hair did change colour. And it was kind of implied, I felt, that she was being possessed by her mother.
That's interesting.
But I don't know if that was just something I got. But she's wearing her mum's clothes.
Yeah.
She's wearing her mum's clothes. She goes in there. She meets a toff.
She's been infected by evil, and which means she wants to go have a drink. Have some gin. And
she wants to drink gin, yeah.
Yeah, and potentially have some How's Your Father with some toff. But
who is also evil because he's a toff.
Yeah, but he changes his mind. And then there's quite a prolonged, very uncomfortable rape, a semi-rape. scene, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really horrible, and it's
everything about it is nasty. What I put is that first of all, the trademark lech landlord.
Yeah.
So there's a trademark lech who's like a toff. It's like, oh, come here, young lady, and whatever.
Yeah.
And I put like the landlord is charmed by predatory sexual behaviour. Like as he's doing all this, the landlord's going like.
I don't know why.
It's very awful. Yeah. It's awful.
This era of filmmaking, I don't know why they have this fixation with these kind of sequences, which is so uncomfortable for the entire audience.
Yeah.
Who wants to watch something like this? And it's just like, right, okay, it's gone on for 5 minutes now, guys. Just fucking.
It does feel like it's some weird fantasy.
Well, it's very frenzy. Hitchcock. There's loads of films we've had to watch where there's sequences like this from the late 60s, early 70s, where they've stopped kind of policing this stuff with the BBFC, and it's like, oh yeah, 60s, 70s, man, we can show anything on cinema now, and it's like, no, it's just you've gone too far.
And then she starts raking his eyes out. She
scrams all his face then, or some people might say scratch, but if you're in Wales, you say scram.
Very much like a poltergeist would.
She flees, or there's a hubbub, isn't there? And once again, I've put yet again, it's another scene where, with a Victorian mob in pursuit.
Oh yeah, but she goes downstairs and starts flirting with someone else, and then he tries to go after her again, and she bottles him in the neck, and that's when, and then it was very much like the people from the Royal Oak in Goodnight Sweetheart running along the street, going, oi, 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 oi.
But this is. But this is also the oblong box, isn't it? Because she slices someone's neck.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to go to any of these fucking pubs in the East End where this is all they do to people. You go in for quite a drink, and then some fucking mad woman or a guy with a fucking corduroy mask ends up slitting your throat.
Yeah.
They both end up in the same sail-making place.
I thought there were some really good shots in there. I thought that was really good.
The crowd folk sort of follow them. Does he attack her?
No. For some reason, they kind of like kindred spirits.
Kindred crazy spirits, maybe.
Mm-hmm. He's like smoothing her hair, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. And then he goes upstairs and sort of looks out of the kind of
where
like the loft.
Stuff.
Yes. Yeah. In the down by the Docklands in the 1800s, they would hoist the cargo and the stock up high and store it up high. And he is like looking down, and I've put, what was my note? I've put a madman distracted by idle crowds.
Yeah.
There's people just milling about downstairs, and he just finds that he's placated by them, and he's just staring at them for ages and ages.
And this is when the skeleton cock figure infection takes her over again, and she whacks him with a plank, and he
falls to his death. Bust the blood vessel no more.
No.
He falls to his death in the manner of the Klingon in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, doesn't he?
Yes, Christopher Lloyd, no less.
Yeah, he's gripping onto the edge, and then she kind of stamps on his feet or something like that.
Yeah, like, I think you also pointed out, John.
Enough of you.
Yeah. I love that one.
I think you also pointed out very similar to Bill Sykes' demise at the end of Oliver. Because nothing really comes of it. Because she gets arrested, taken to the asylum. Big Chris Lee recognises her and then takes her back to Peter Cushing. So then we're back to where we were 20 minutes ago.
I thought at this part that we're going to have some effects makeup, or we're going to have she's going to turn into the monster. She doesn't do anything. She
nothing.
So it's like it's a monster film without a monster, and I think. This sequence is very frustrating because it's the guy who's escaped, and there's no reason to have him in the film. And I think anyone watching this film would say, "What's that storyline?"
So, I enjoyed it because it wasn't the same all the way through. Often these things will just be the same thing, but it just felt like it just went off on a couple of little tangents and stuff, which kept it interesting. It wasn't all on the same set. It wasn't all the same people all the time.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. But it doesn't add anything to the actual overall story, does it?
No, not really. No, because it is all about this massive skeleton.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that for fucking
they've forgotten
ages.
about.
Yeah.
Exactly. My note says that. The whole thing, I said, the whole creeping flesh story has been abandoned by this point.
So I said there's a real lull, more chasing hordes, and it's a really lost direction, no dialogue.
Yeah.
And where is Cushing? Because Peter Cushing, at this part of the film, has totally disappeared. And then there's a sequence where Christopher Lee takes her back to his house.
Yeah, sees the skeleton.
Sees the skeleton. Peter Cushing isn't in any of these scenes. And you're like, where is he?
He's out looking for his daughter.
Is he?
Yes, because you see him like riding around in his little carriage.
Has she already murdered the maid at this point?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, I think.
Because there's another, it's like, obviously, Hands of the Ripper. There's another sequence with a murdered maid.
It's
like, oh my God, it's like all these films.
Yeah, that's when she's pretending to be asleep, isn't it? Yeah, that's when.
It does make me think. This film, more than many that we've watched, do make me think, like, they're quite formulaic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, we've watched, because we don't watch the films in order. It's like,
it feels like they're all ripping each other off, but actually they're all just just picking from the same little bit tropes.
Yes.
And
but then when you watch the Hands of the Ripper in this, which were made a year apart at most, you're like, oh my God, they're literally like, it's like you've gone to see that one in the pictures, and then you're literally just writing it down and churning it out the other end.
I prefer this one, though.
Yes, I probably prefer this one.
Well, this had the ending, which we'll get to in a moment. It certainly gave me more food for thought than the other one.
Yeah.
Right. So, meanwhile, so Big Chris Lee, having seen the big skeleton, he then makes the decision, doesn't he? He's like, oh, wait a minute. This, if this is true and his research, if that's right, that, injecting some of this, or whatever it may be, whatever this skeleton he's extracted from it, this could cure madness, and this could help me win my prize. So he then goes back home, and then I wrote down the line. I put, it's amazing. He's like, I need to go and get that skeleton. And they're like, oh, you can't do it, or you shouldn't do it. And he says, I will employ someone for whom ethics have no significance. Which is a great Big Chris Lee line.
It's great, but he also goes with the guy.
Ethics have no significance.
And just goes, you, James.
Thanks. Cheers. Right, but then, as John says, Big Chris Lee goes with him, which kind of renders it all moot. So they then they turn up, they nick, or the coachman nicks the skeleton.
Yeah, and carries it around like we were saying, and it would just fall. It would fall to pieces.
It would fall apart.
Yes. Yeah. In the process, he murders the assistant to Peter Cushing,
Cushing's assistant,
which is pointless and a bit annoying because I thought he was quite a nice character.
Drags the arm through a bucket or something to get it wet.
What I felt was that they had that in order to make you feel like he gets his just desserts when he's killed by the monster in a bit. Yeah, that's just that was my feeling. These days it would just be, oh no, he just gets killed. But for back then, anyway.
And then it's starting to rain as well, so there's water coming.
Yes, and I put, oh no. Water is going to get on the desiccated demigod. But that's, oh no, who knew? Playing on the Glastonbury next year.
No, I think they're playing Reading this year.
Yeah, oh, nice, of course, yeah.
They'll get bottles of piss thrown at them.
Like poor old Daphne and Celeste. Now.
And there's lots of stock lightning and stock thunderclaps.
There's a lot of that. And there's one shot inside the carriage, and my notes are, has Big Chris Lee put a hat on the skeleton? But then I find out in the next shot, which would have been amazing. But no, he's put a hood on him like E.T.
Yeah, why?
So it's basically but basically to save animating
so later on someone can be like wobbling
just
around.
Walk around.
With like...
Yeah. The coach goes out. Yeah, the coach goes exactly. The coach goes out of control and crashes. And my note says, "I'm amazed Big Chris Lee doesn't start berating the coachman for his shit coach driving skills, knowing what he's like. God damn it, man!
I hope he doesn't get impaled on the wagon wheel.
Wheels. Oh yeah.
Impaled on a wagon wheel. Imagine that. A mint one, Cleves, or just a normal flavour.
Just a normal one. Meanwhile, hasn't Peter Cushing taken the cock out of the jug and chucked it in the fire?
Yes, the finger. He seems to think that may now be the source of the evil, I'm guessing. And that, by destroying this is what's driven my daughter mad.
Yeah.
So therefore, if I destroy this, that might help.
So I thought that was going to cause pain to the
monster. Yes.
No, he's gone to pieces at this point, hasn't he? And he's kind of roaming around his house and ends up in his wife's room crying and going, Philippa, whatever her name is.
But was really well done. I actually felt it.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes.
They had to cut out the time when he said Helen instead of...
But I've said, why is he in his wife's room? Why has this provoked him to go to his wife's room and start blubbing? It doesn't make sense.
What's happened to the daughter? Does she die?
No, she's in bed.
No.
Then she...
I remember, yeah.
What happens to her in inverted commas? Yeah.
Yeah, she murders the maid that's stationed with her, and then she's like dancing outside.
Oh, yes, in the thunderstorm.
Yes, that's right, because the monster sees her, doesn't it?
Yes.
Or she sees the monster.
So the monster has now gained flesh.
Having been rained on, because the coach is overturned.
Yeah, and
Chris
he heads
Lee
back,
runs away. Yeah,
and he heads back to Peter Cushing's house. So this pre-humanity creature now knows to knock on a door. I thought he was going to ring the doorbell because you see him. You see him going up to the doorbell. I thought he was going to ring it, but he's knocking on the door. Because he knows the etiquette of how to enter someone's home at this point.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah, with his big meaty hand.
My other note from this point is, I said that the demigod would be really, really pissed off. The last thing he knew, he was in the lush tropical rainforest of Papua New Guinea. And the next thing you know, he's having a tramp round bloody Shepperton.
Yeah, with his hood on.
With his finger missing.
We're missing finger, which they keep showing.
Yes. Yeah, just to remind you, look, he ain't got his finger. Yeah, it's very weird.
But it just basically looks like it's the same skull with like pink goo on it, isn't it? They
don't spend a lot of money on it.
No, we got. Yeah, so then he goes into the house, and then you see him wobbling up the stairs from behind, don't you?
Well, at this point I said there's not enough monster. It's just a shit skull in a cape, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like,
this is where you need Dave Prowse or Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
It's a monster
you get
film
monster
without
vision,
a monster.
don't you?
Yeah.
From
really
his eyes.
Weird, yeah.
That's the only bit that I really liked, James, where I was like, yes, this is good. You've got a POV through the monster's goggles.
Yeah, but so this doesn't work because this implies that the eyes are further back in the skull.
Yes,
looking through two holes.
It doesn't work at all. None of it's... Please, if that's the only bit you're kind of scrutineering here, none of it stands up,
when
really, does
you
it?
never see anyone else's POV through two holes,
no.
like looking at their two eyes.
No, not really.
Well,
do they do this in the skull at some point as well? I think I've seen a shot of the skull which does that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, he then kind of we reach the seeming climax of the movie. He puts his, as Ross says, meaty hands round the neck of Peter Cushing, who goes, no, forgive me.
Yeah.
Cuts to...
Back to the asylum.
Opening shot. Oh.
You're missing the bit where he says, he shows him his hand, and he pulls off Peter Cushing's finger.
Well, we don't see that because you see that at the end.
No.
You don't see the finger
being
pulled.
You don't see that till the end.
No, but that's the implication at that point, that he holds up his hand like this.
Yeah.
And dear listener, I'm talking about a bent finger where you can't see the end of the finger.
So it looks like a stub.
Very, very similar to what Terry Nutkins, naturist Terry Nutkins had.
So the implication is, throughout the entire film, that the monster is pissed off just because he wants his finger back. Yeah.
Weird.
So he pulls off Peter Cushing's finger.
So this implies that he was conscious the whole time and he knew...
In some way, yes.
Weird.
Yeah. So we don't see what happens to the monster, do we?
No, because then, it said, we then cut to we're back to our opening scene in what we believed to be Peter Cushing's laboratory. is very, very starkly decorated laboratory, only to find out that, oh my God, there's a knock on the door, and we're told, "Oh, your time is up." And here is your twist, ladies and gents. If you've made it this far, well done. It's all been in Peter Cushing's head.
Yes.
The whole thing. Peter Cushing is mad.
Yeah.
And has gone absolutely insane.
Yes.
The doctor who's been speaking to him comes out, where he meets Big Chris Lee, who says, "Yes, you're absolutely right. He's totally insane." And it's interesting. His fantasy involves you. You're a character in it. And he says, "Yes, that's very, very normal. They often see me as a father figure." And then he went, and what's even stranger is he sees
Did you
this
know I
woman,
was in the Secret Service in the war?
Yes. Do you know I'm related to Charlemagne? He then says he also believes in his fantasies that this woman over here is his daughter. And we see like the daughter who's just like absolutely, like catatonic schizophrenic, just kind of stood holding the bars. And that is the big twist at the end, is that nothing that you've seen over the last hour and a half is real.
Because we cut back to Peter in his cell, which is now just a cell, but he's missing the finger.
Yeah. So Chris Lee could be covering it all up by saying it.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think he's an arsehole in this film, Chris Lee.
It's really interesting because I read it as, kind of like Peter Cushing was seeing himself as the monster that had done all of these dreadful things.
Yeah.
And that in losing that finger, he'd lost like a part of himself in some way, shape or form. And so he was punishing himself. And then this is my third mention of the late great man tonight. So this is virtually, this is Lynch. This is Lynchian. This is like David Lynch. This is like Mulholland Drive, where all of a sudden it's like, oh, nothing of what you've just seen is real. I was like, wow. And that made me look on the film in a far more positive light. And I thought,
that's
wow,
interesting.
Yeah, you can completely read it two ways at the end, though.
Yes, yeah, and I love an ambiguous ending to a film. See the recent movie Heretic for that.
I've still haven't seen it. No spoilers.
No spoilers, but that's a film where you can read that in two ways at the end.
I think that also the implication is that the monster at that point is still out there as well.
Yeah. Yes, the new epoch has begun, perhaps, that he warned us of.
And then that monster goes on to start the First World War.
Yeah.
The Second World War. Pearl Harbor. Trump.
Brexit, the lot.
Yeah. Farage.
Tommy Robinson, you name it. As you say.
I was trying to think of any tall person in history he could have become.
Bernard Bresslaw.
John Leslie.
Is John Leslie tall?
Yeah,
he's quite tall, isn't he?
It's not like history's greatest villain just because he had sex with Abby Titmus.
And who can blame him?
Who can blame him?
So what are the scores, chaps?
Ross, you go first.
John Leslie's 6'5", and he was tall.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a size, isn't it?
Scavengers.
God. That's like a foot taller than me.
Yeah. Imagine him.
Yeah. Oh, cut that out. Cleaver, what do you think? What's the scores?
I gave it a 4.
Cleaver, what did you say then? You were giving it a 4?
A 4, yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Fucking hell.
I thought I really enjoyed it. I liked the way that I didn't know where it was going to go. And I think that it had, like we said, a lot of the tropes which we expect, but mixed up in a different way. And I thought that it was one of the best acting performances I've seen from Peter Cushing. I thought there was some. I really liked some of the shots. I thought there was some really interesting.
God,
some really good transitions.
As an intro, Cleves, I think you need to edit me in now saying that you have lost your mind. So put that in at the start, and then people will be like, "What's Ross lost his mind over?"
Just like the actual film itself, where we see the end at the beginning.
I
enjoyed it. Yeah, it was one of the more enjoyable ones.
So that's on a level for you with what, The Road and something like that?
The Stone Tape?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but they were a 5, Cleves. So you're on it's one level below The Road and Stone Tape for you.
What else did I give a 4? I've given. Oh shit! I get the Stone Tape a 4.
Yeah,
there you go.
Wow.
Gave the Omen a 4.
That's
Wow.
Stone Tape.
Frenzy.
There's a new transfer of the Stone Tape coming out, and it's going to come out on Blu-ray in the next.
Yes.
I'm going to get
way.
it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
James, what did you think?
I'm going to say I didn't quite love it as much as Ross.
No.
But I said that ending definitely gave me food for thought. I loved Big Chris Lee barking orders. I loved the kind of odd madness of it. So am I allowed to give 2.5, or do I have to round it up?
No, you can do 2.5, yeah.
The two of you have been on laughing gas tonight. This film was terrible. The first 20 minutes was good. The rest was terrible. This is like a 1 or a 0.5.
Okay. Oh.
Wow.
Going to live from 0.5 then, John, just to bring our scores down.
And Freddie Francis. A mark for Freddie Francis alone in the work and the career of Freddie Francis. Come on.
I think 56 episodes in, you have both surprised me tonight.
I was saying to James that I think that doing this, our tolerance for shit has gone. It's completely shifted around. Some of the stuff we looked up at the beginning.
Yeah,
would get like, for example, Dracula AD 1972. I only gave it 2. I'll probably give that a 5 now
because it's a really good film.
Yeah, I think it's just like my kind of frame of reference has shifted quite a lot.
I think the title sequence alone for Dracula AD 1972 is worth 100 points.
Yeah. But I just like, I think a lot of this comes to, for what you've watched recently.
Oh, what a film. I might go and watch it now.
Yeah. But I just felt like I really didn't enjoy House of the Ripper. So I think that this is kind of like, in comparison to that, I'd much prefer to watch this.
Palate cleanser, Ross. Basically the palate.
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes was total cinema. The rest of it was really drab and really miserable film, wasn't it, really? This is more fun. I've got to say this is more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
But it's not a very good film.
And it was just, I just like the madness of it. It's like,
yes.
And like Freddie Francis said, so the exposition is utter bollocks, but Peter Cushing tells it with such conviction that you believe it. It's great.
He was a brilliant actor, and I don't know why he didn't do. It's just interesting to think that he did stuff that was really cutting edge. Like he did the TV version of 1984 that is probably the thing that made him really famous. And he was in stuff with Olivier. And then he kind of went down this track where maybe he just thought, they're offering me so much work. I'm just going to do these.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And literally right up to like, God, the mid-80s, he just wasn't out of work, really. But he wasn't doing stuff where you'd think he's going to get the plaudits, which is a real shame because, he was a really good actor. Sir Peter Cushing. On that bombshell.
Did John actually John, did you give it a score?
0.5.
Oh, I haven't given it a score yet.
I thought you said 0.5, I thought.
0.5 or a 1. Right. I just thought that they brought in some really interesting kind of ideas that were bit like very The Thing, really, isn't it? Where they find something and it's like, it comes back to life. But it changes that into Victorian England, which I'm 100% on board with. And then it just goes, like I said, it's like they've lost the script and they're just like, let's just make it up from here on in, guys.
Insanely, Horror Express is the better version of this.
It's literally Horror Express, but without Telly Savalas. And people with boiled eggs for eyes.
Yeah.
And dub voices.
Yeah.
Oh, so what are you going to give it? You keep saying 2, 1 or 0.5?
0.5.
Okay.
Well, what about something horrific this week, Cleves?
Yeah, we can do that.
Well, should we mention Uncanny, that we're enjoying it? Uncanny,
speak for yourself.
Some of us...
Ross doesn't like it.
I really enjoy it. I think it's great fun.
It's really fucking long.
It's... What? It's an hour?
Yeah, an hour of bollocks. It's just...
it's more...
Ross, it's more scientific than... Zach fucking Bagans going, oh my God! in a box.
Scientific.
Did you hear that? Everything. At least they try and give you proper.
I don't think it is more fun.
At least they try and give you proper explanations.
And also, this weird thing that ghosts have got to have like a 70s aesthetic, so that we're going to make everything look analog and 70s, and it's just a weird thing that they decided that that's what we're going to make it look like. And
I think it works really well.
I just can't stand him.
Oh, I think
I knew it.
Jesus,
I knew you didn't like it.
Yes. So we'll take that bit out, Cleves.
I'm allowed to have an opinion on.
Wait, I don't think you can just say I can't stand him.
I don't like his presenting.
I don't like his.
I don't like the way he presents.
I think it's really good fun. I'm really glad it's on TV. I think it's something that hasn't been on TV for a while. It's something supernatural and ghostly and different. And I think it's quite high camp and quite entertaining. And it's just something different to watch, isn't it? I really like it.
I think I'd prefer if it was half an hour. I think it just goes on too long, personally.
An hour's fine, Cleves.
You know what I'm going to say? 2 words. Yeah. Evelyn Hollow.
Yes!
I love her. She is fantastic.
The mighty Evelyn.
Yeah. And if
she can convince us, can't she, James?
I'm now a little bit cross, John. I didn't realise that during the live tour that she goes on the live tour with him, and that the tour came down to Poole. I missed the opportunity to go and get close to Evelyn Hollow.
I asked if you wanted to go to it. You said no.
Man.
I was going to go down there.
Evelyn Hollow was going to be there.
I was going to give out flyers for our podcast.
Don't do that. Well, next time, if they do come back, I will go, and because I would like to shout, "I love you," like a sad middle-aged man.
Yeah, make it feel uncomfortable,
and they can come and throw me out. Evelyn, I've got your book. Please sign it.
I also did very much enjoy last night the kind of spooky ghost episode of This Country, which is very weird.
Yes,
and it's not explicitly ghostly at all.
But that's why it's good.
It's weird, and it's a bit of a homage to Blair Witch.
Yes.
But actually, what's in the tent is more horrifying than you can probably imagine. So, yeah, that was good fun. We enjoyed watching that last night. I don't know if there's anything else that I've watched that's kind of horror-y recently. Have you two got any?
I'm trying to think.
Have you got something horrific this week?
My only thing is, I rewatched Heretic again the other way, and I did think actually that is very good. That actually, I enjoyed it first time out. I thought I probably won't watch that again, but now having watched it a second time, I did really enjoy it. So that's a big tick again for me. Highly recommend that.
Oh, I really enjoyed the end of What We Do in the Shadows. What's the last episode of that?
Oh, okay.
It was very cute, and I just really like those characters, and I thought, yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and watch that again. I tried showing it to the kids, and then the first episode's quite dirty, and I had to quickly turn it off. So I was like, this is.
You hadn't done your due diligence.
No, this is because you remember certain things, block cover bits out, don't you? And then it becomes very front and center when you're watching it with a 13-year-old.
Yeah. So I was on the radio this week in BBC Radio Wales. I was in BBC Radio Wales in Wales, which is in South Wales, talking to the legend who is called Roy Noble, who anyone in Wales will have heard of, about a new project I've got where I'm trying to collect ghost stories that are passed down within a family or within a kind of work environment.
Amazing.
So I'm looking at stuff to do with factories, mines, that kind of post-industrial kind of vibe. So that was really good fun, actually. And it was quite weird to go into the huge BBC building in the middle of Cardiff, when there was probably only about 10 people in there. It was very post-zombie apocalypse.
It looks quite spooky. It looks so different from when I used to work there. Is it at Llandaff or have they moved it?
No. It's outside the station in the middle of Cardiff.
Oh, right, because I worked at the Llandaff one.
Yeah, Llandaff is long gone. It's houses now.
That's a shame. Just looks like the one in London now, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So I thought you were in London when I saw the pictures.
No.
Roy Noble then here on BBC Radio Wales. Now, a good ghost story is one of, my guilty pleasures as well. I was watching one on television last night, oddly enough. True stories. We've many good ones in Wales, but how do we pass them down from one generation to the other, and how may the story change as they passed on. John Pountney is an artist based in Treforest and looking for those exact stories, and he's with me now. John, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Roy.
Oh, pleasure to have you here. Now, tell us about this project that you have in mind.
Well, it was an idea that came to me to do something a bit different to my usual stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very known for photography.
Yes.
And painting. And I'd done some hard work over the last few years, and I thought, time to take it easy.
Yeah.
And do something a bit more lighthearted. And I thought, why not ghost stories?
Right.
And the kind of inspiration came from M.R. James, the famous Victorian writer.
All right.
Who wrote a story which was called An Evening's Entertainment, which is about a grandmother relating ghost stories to her grandchildren.
Right.
And that kind of gave me the idea of how we collect ghost stories, or stories in general, not just ghost stories.
Yes.
And how they were originally entertainment in the days before radio and television, but now they're kind of how are they collected and how are they recorded, as opposed to a time when they weren't really recorded or collected.
Well, you've mentioned grandmothers, indeed. I would add someone to that. Powerful in lots of families, aunties.
Yeah.
I don't think there are as many aunties about these days as there used to be. I lived in a street of 22 houses.
Well, exactly.
And I had 22 aunties.
Yeah.
And they sometimes came to, one incident weekly was there were ladies of the street would gather in my grandmother's back kitchen, and I would sit underneath the kitchen table, a big one, with a tablecloth coming down the side like a tent. And they would have coal fire.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put the light on to save the shilling in the meter. And so they would talk about the neighbours, but also stories.
Yes.
And these came out, and they were incredible.
That sounds
and
excellent.
there aren't as many aunties about, I don't think.
No.
They were a source of research.
Well, your auntie sometimes was a lady you weren't even related to, wasn't it?
Well, in that street,
often.
I had 22 aunties, but only, I don't think one was related to me.
Yes. So I was just thinking, how do we still have those ghost stories, and are they passed down through families?
Yes.
And that's what I'd really like to try and find out, how they're passed down. And a lot of my work has been to do with industry in Wales and a post-industrial setting. And I was wondering if people had stories about those kind of factories or mines or the ironworks and all those kind of places.
Well, heavy industry like that, of course.
Yes.
There were many accidents.
Exactly, yeah.
And therefore, many, coal mining accidents, went up in the hundreds of fatalities. And you wonder, was there any time in any house or any setting or any place or any pit site that had closed that people had noticed something or heard something?
Yes.
So they could be, couldn't they?
I think so, definitely. I've heard stories myself, or I've read stories about hearing the miners' boots walking up the street to the mine years after the mine has closed, first thing in the morning. And I'm just wondering, with modern life now, with smartphones and Donald Trump and all these kinds of things, are there still times for telling stories to each other about ghouls and ghosts and things that go bump in the night?
Yes.
Quite an old-fashioned kind of
That's right.
way of entertaining yourself,
Yes, because I'm associated with the Aber Valley Heritage Group, and they are the ones who run the museum centred on Singhenedd.
Yes.
And Singhenedd lost 440 men in their main disaster, which is the biggest in Britain. But there was one just before. Well, I say before. It was actually 12 years before. And there were 81 there. Kilvanedd was another.
Yeah.
Gressford in the north was another.
Yeah.
They're all over the place, and there could be stories from all over these places.
Yeah.
So have you been to any of these places, or are you centering on the Rhondine?
Well, very strange that you say that, Roy, because I did 2 years' work in the Aber Valley up to last year. I did some work with Siddick, and I did a lot of work to do with the Eglwys Silan Common and all of the kind of Stone Age stuff up there that they've got. And it was kind of inspired by those thoughts of the ghosts of those kind of places that I came up with this idea. So I didn't know that you were did stuff to do with the Apple Valley.
I was a teacher there, you see.
Oh, right, okay.
And there was one fatality in our house as well.
Oh, no way.
My grandfather was killed.
Good Lord.
And I remember that. I was about 8 years of age.
Yeah.
And I remember the day, indeed, when they brought his body home.
Yeah.
But that was just a one-off, you see.
So I've spent a lot of time up there. And this project now is to do with the Rhondda and RCT specifically, because it's the RCT arts community that are funding this through the council. So they are funding the project. So I'm doing stuff in Aberdare. Yeah. I'll be doing stuff in Ponty. I'll be doing stuff in Treorchy. And what we'll probably do, I think, is have a kind of sharing session at the end of the project, which will be in October for Halloween.
Yeah. Have you come across John Geraint in Treorchy? Because they have a radio station there, a local radio station, and there are lots of people.
Yeah.
And the great attraction to the radio station is people coming in to say their story.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and to say a story from the locality that other people in the locality may not know.
Okay. Yeah. They have been recommended to me, and GTFM in Ponty as well. Yeah. So I'll be getting in touch with both of those ASAP. I came to see your good self first.
Yes.
And then I was going to move on to the micro radio stations, or are they mini or micro radio stations? I'm not sure what you'd call them.
Small. No, they're community.
Well, yes, that's a very good word, and it's probably a lot more flattering than a micro radio station.
Absolutely. So there are possibilities there, because they do have these, and they need to be passed on orally, because that gift and habit is gone.
Exactly, and that's what I'm really interested in and kind of fascinated by is those stories you heard about someone giving someone a lift in their Austin 1100, and when they got to the destination, they looked in the passenger seat and there was no one there. You know, it's those kind of stories that I remember reading in ghost books when I was little.
Yeah. Are there other... you mentioned M.R. James now.
Yeah.
Are there other writers that inspired you or you're a fan of?
I read an awful lot of Victorian ghost fiction, so it's all that kind of era. Yes. E.F. Benson as well is a particular favourite of mine. He also did the Map and Lucia novels, which were very popular in the kind of 20s and 30s. But I pretty much only read Victorian ghost fiction or stuff to do with research with projects, that I'm doing. So usually stuff about the industry, industrial history of Wales.
Well, many thanks to you, John. We'll continue this conversation now. We'll have a little break for music, okay?
No problem.
Yes, Celine Dion, Because You Love Me. Well, I said we'd had a few Canadian singers. She's another one, actually. Happy birthday again to the Canadian flag then, the maple leaf. And it went back only to 1965, of course. But with me now is John Pountney, and he, in fact, is after, stories that you may have. He's looking for ghost stories, but really ghost stories from industrial areas of Wales, and he's centred on the valleys of South Wales at the moment. He may spread himself out across the entire nation, of course. John, now this project stems from your photography and your painting, but mostly from your photography.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So how did the Industrial Revolution then first become the focus of your work?
It's been a long and kind of insidious process, really. A bit like a kind of infection in my system, really, where the first place I started taking photographs was down the Splot Foreshore in Cardiff.
All right.
Which, unlike a lot of beaches, is not made of sand, it's made of brick. It's totally made of brick, and it's
the beach.
Yeah, the whole beach.
Good heavens.
Where there's the Welsh Water sewage works.
Yes,
it's not the most salubrious place for an afternoon, but basically it was made up of slum clearance and the Eastmoor Steelworks, which was in that part of Cardiff in the 70s, and a lot of streets and the steelworks were pushed into the sea there, flattened out. And if you have a wander along, you can see all the different names of the different kind of brick manufacturers and from all over Wales and beyond.
Yes.
And just after that, I did a project up in Cyfarthfa Castle, which was to do with the Crauchetes. And I sort of started seeing parallels between all the work I was doing, and that started me on this long journey through all these different landscapes.
Yes. In a previous life, I was in the Nice Valley as well. I was a head teacher of Pondy's Fawn School.
Yeah.
And around the bends of the river there were several buildings. All had been separated from each other in case of explosion because they were doing dynamite there, preparing explosives.
Yeah.
And in fact, they used a lot of bricks. They made bricks in that area, and in the Dinas area. And they stamped the bricks, each brick, Dinas.
Yeah.
And a lot was sold to Russia.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so actually, the Russian word for brick, I believe, is Dinas.
Dinas.
Yeah, they took it on
That's
board.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So now then, you're working in the Ronda.
Yeah.
Grant, as it were, or support anyway, to be in RCD. And it comes hand in hand with ghost stories. Have you come across any?
Not yet, no. This program has been my first stop.
Yeah.
And I had a chat the other day with a guy who was a ghost hunter or paranormal investigator, and he told me a lot of stories. He's been doing it for 12 years, and it kind of made me think I'm maybe more interested in the stories themselves than being scared out of my wits.
Right.
Following the ghouls and goblins round. So it's maybe hearing about other people's experiences more than experiencing the ghost myself.
Yes. There are beyond that, of course, places of industry and industry bases. I'm talking about Copper and Swansea. And then, of course, Port Talbot.
Yeah.
You know, the works there, which is under threat, always under threat.
Yeah.
And Blaenavon, hugely historical as well.
Done a lot of work in Blaenavon as well. I was an artist in residence up there in 2018 when they had a thing called the Man Engine visit, which was a thing with Cadw. So it was this tremendous statue of a miner that had come up from Cornwall, and we did a lot of work around his visit to the World Heritage Site.
Yes.
I've fallen in love with all these different landscapes around Wales, and I've documented an awful lot of them now.
Well, interesting that you say that, because a few years ago now, I borrowed a Honda Goldwing trike.
Nice, yeah, lovely.
And I did a series in Welsh, Fires for Sea, going around the valleys only.
Oh, okay.
Visiting places. And the thing that intrigued me was other people in Wales kept saying, well, I never knew that about the valleys. They had this image about the valleys. Even Cardiff people had an image about the valleys.
Yeah.
But they were interested suddenly in having it opened up because I confined the journeys to the valleys. See, so people don't know, and they're interested to know, aren't they?
I think so much of this history is hidden in plain sight. It's right under people's noses. You know, you've got the what they call the electric house, or the kind of it's like a big engine shed in Tonopandi, where the Tonopandi riots started.
Yes.
People drive past it every day, but they've no idea what it is.
No.
Across from there, they've got the statue of Hood, who was the guy who Archibald Hood, who opened the mine there, the pit there, and people just don't know the history, which is literally under their feet, you know, quite often in Wales. And it's a real shame. And I do think that, particularly with the valleys, could be the biggest open-air museum in the world for industry.
Yes.
With some forward planning and vision, and you'd have people coming from all over the world to see this stuff. You know, the first train journey.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In Merthyr Tydfil.
Yeah.
But actually, when you're talking about ghosts, it's another dimension of this tale, isn't it? You know, it'll be tremendously exciting. So, how are you hoping to share the stories now that you collect? By a program like this, getting it out there and people coming back to you?
Well, what I'll probably do is if and when I hear from people, is go and visit the people and maybe photograph them, make portraits of them, and then record the stories.
Yes.
And then obviously the first kind of phase of the plan is to have this session where we share the stories for Halloween, which will probably be in the Park and Dare in Treorchy, up the Rhondda. So I think that's something that's really exciting, is that, you know, the idea that obviously the Park and Dare was paid for by the penny and the pound from the miners.
Yeah.
If we can share some of those ghostly stories in there, I think that works really nicely. That really suits that kind of event, you know, to have it in a place like the Park and Dare.
That's right. Well, I'm hoping next week that we have Delith Badder here as well.
Well, I know Delith really well.
Yes, she's going to be talking about something that she's found.
Yes.
And, you know, they're from, well, charms
Yeah.
that she's found in envelopes.
Fantastic.
And she's bought them. And of course, the charms are to give you good luck.
Yeah.
But there's also the converse, which is the curse.
Yeah.
You know, the Dean Husbas,
Yeah,
the cunning
yeah,
man who came
yeah.
to the house,
Yeah.
would prefer to give you the charm, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't want...
She lives opposite me on the valley. So, yeah, she lives in one of the roundhouses of William Price, who invented cremation.
Yes, indeed.
So we kind of face each other. So I'm on the other side in Treforest.
Yes.
So
I'm always intrigued with the two roundhouses.
Yeah.
Because they were apparently
Fascinating.
gatehouses, weren't they? And if you go through them, it's almost a kind of a stone vertical face that's facing...
it is, yeah.
It's not a huge field in a manor house.
No.
Somewhere.
No.
No.
No. It's a precipice.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. Now then, how do they contact you?
If I'd love for people to email me. So my email address is JON. It's not JOHN. So make sure you get that right. It's JON at maxatt.co.uk. So it's JON at maxatt.co.uk. Or I'm really easy to find on social media. I'm on X, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Instagram. So yeah, you can find me quite easily. John Pountney.
John Pountney is the name.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll sort of mention it again before the programme ends.
Oh, happy days.
Great. John, intriguing to talk to you, very interesting to talk to you. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here, Roy. Thank you.
I hope indeed that we have, that we have been a kind of a lorry that brings you all this stuff now in a mound that you can deal with. Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, indeed. And now then, next piece of music is, well, McFly. Nothing to do with ghosts, I would have thought.
General Witchfinder notices our new zine should be coming out soon. By the time this episode comes out,
when's that? When is that?
It's going to come out on May Day. So that,
what?
Yeah, so it should be coming out in May.
So we're here talking in May, and this comes out in May. Yeah.
No, this episode will come out in
May Day. You just said May Day.
No, the zine's going to come out on May Day. This episode will come out in April. Yeah. So that will be coming out soon. So go to our website, generalwitchfinders.com, to see if the zines come out yet. As we mentioned earlier in this episode, we're on Blue Sky now, so come and find us on Blue Sky at General Witch. And we don't talk about this enough as well. We are on Patreon as well. If you want to get, so apologies that there are quite a lot of ads on this podcast, but it's because it costs money for us to host this, and some of the software which we use to make it, we have to pay for that as a subscription. So you can help us by becoming a patron. Again, you can find links to that on generalwitchfinders.com. If you join, you get the episodes before everyone else, and you get them without any ads. You also, I think there's at least 2 episodes just for you guys, just for the patrons.
There's at least 2 episodes.
2 additional episodes and extra bits as well.
What are those episodes, Cleves?
There's, I can't remember now. Oh, we did on the worst of the worst. So we
that was good.
Oh, yes. That was excellent.
So we go through to try and identify the worst one ever. And there's one.
And what did we decide it was?
I can't remember now. You're going to have to give us some money to go and find out. And
was it the not Fearless Vampire Hunters? What's it called? 7 Golden Vampires.
I can't remember.
Or was it the one with the jumbo jet and Robert Powell?
I'm not sure.
That was bad as well.
Yeah, can't remember. And also on there's an episode where we watch Zach Bagans go to Skinwalker Ranch.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we will probably do some other additional bits. There's James reading quite a disturbing ghost story with some graphic sexual violence in it. So if you want to hear James talk about that, that'd be good.
Why not?
I'm willing to do more.
Yeah.
Not sexual violence. Let me make that explicitly clear.
I think they're playing in Isle of Wight Festival next year, aren't they? Sexual violence.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of good stuff. So it's all
lovely.
And we'll keep adding things on there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We promise.
Yeah. Cool. But until
maybe I'll read an M.R. James story.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah. There's one of John's. There's a little video of John at Christmas telling a ghost story on there as well. You can go and watch that.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And do you know what? Danny Robbins didn't touch that with a barge pole.
Coward.
Yeah. Coward. Dirty Britpop bastard.
See, I'm not allowed to say. I don't like his presenting style, but you can call that dirty Britpop bastard.
It's in a whole different stratosphere, Cleves.
Yeah. Okay. little peek behind the curtain that we're actually recording these faster than we would normally would. So we've got room to add an extra episode into our schedule. And John was saying that Doom Watch has come back on. Was it on Talking Pictures?
Talking Pictures, yeah.
And Doom Watch is a series which you've always thought we would cover. So we decided that we're going to try and slot a Doom Watch in. So we're going to watch an episode of Doom Watch called Tomorrow the Rat, because we do have a history of rats in this podcast.
Interestingly, I did see earlier that Tigon also did the Doom Watch feature film. Yes. Which is very weird.
Well, thanks for listening as always, everybody. Do subscribe to us on Patreon or give us any form of feedback whatsoever. Good or bad.
Any amount of money.
Take anything.
Yeah.
We'll take anything. We have
My
no
top
shame.
code
We
is
don't care.
308096.
Lovely. There you go. Until next time.
Love, light and peace, wherever you are in this beautiful world.
Bye.
You have been listening to the General Witchfinders. Support the show and continue the conversation at patreon.com/General Witchfinders. Subscribe and spread the word at generalwitchfinders.com. Farewell, and don't have nightmares.
This podcast is brought to you by Aura. Imagine waking up to find your bank account drained, bills for loans you never took out, a warrant for your arrest, all because someone stole your identity. Hackers aren't waiting. Why are you? That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Your personal data is a goldmine for hackers, and Aura helps lock it down. Aura monitors the dark web, blocks data brokers from selling your information, includes a VPN for private browsing, and a password manager to secure your accounts before criminals break in. For a limited time, Aura is offering our listeners a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and start protecting yourself and your loved ones. That's aura.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.
Which fucking film are we doing tonight?
The Creeping Flesh.
Right, hang on. Which fucking notes? All my notes look the same. It's just scrawled capital letters. Oh, I'm going to have to turn the light on. I can't see the bloody page. Hang on.
How are you, by the way, Ross? You right, mate?
I'm all right.
It's a bit bright to have the light on, but without it, I can't really see the page.
You need one of these that I got. It's like a... Put it on your neck.
Oh, yeah. I did have one like that to read with, but it just fell to pieces.
That kind of reminds me of when Orbital used to have those glasses that had them on the side.
Oh, yeah. Phil Hartnell.
No.
Is that why they did the Doctor Who theme?
Well, it's Hartnell rather than Hartnell. Have you got new glasses, James? They look bigger than
same
usual.
Ones.
Interesting.
Am I sat slightly closer to the screen? It's exactly the same.
I don't know. You look more like Joe 90 than usual.
Cool.
It's like Heston, I thought, with a shaved head.
A little bit Heston-y, yeah.
Okay.
Not the current insane Heston that is.
This one, I think, was somebody being nice to me. But I did have a parent say that they were like, "Oh, has anyone told you look like Josh Brolin?"
Ooh.
And I said, "No." And they went, "Oh, you do. You got a very similar face to Josh Brolin."
Yeah. That's
I'll
weird
take
from
that.
a parent, isn't it?
Well, as Thanos.
Yeah. As Thanos.
Oh,
yeah. But still, they were like, "Oh, do you know the man who's Thanos in the Marvel films?" I went, "Yes, that's Josh Brolin." "Oh, has anyone ever told you you look very similar to him?" I said, "Well, I've got a lot of lookalikes, but I've never had that one."
I can kind of see it as a rambler,
it's the cheeks. It's always the cheeks.
There's not a fire in your house, is it, John? It's getting really...
Just the heat of John.
It just looks really smoky.
Intense passion.
I think it's a chromatic aberration on my lens from the...
Yeah. Showing off of his ceramic aberrations.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I like it.
Hang on, who's this?
You've got some peanut chocos.
Oh, she's bought some snacks.
Lovely. Delicious.
There they are, look.
Hi, House.
Get on camera. There she is, look.
Hello.
Peanut chocos.
She loved that. Look how happy she is now.
So her favourite people.
I'm watching a weird film.
She's watching a weird film.
Full stop with subtitles.
What is it, George?
That's why I hadn't
seen my message. Yeah.
It's called The Worst Person in the World.
It's called The Worst Person in the World. It's about me, Cleva says.
It's Norwegian.
It's Norwegian. It's got subtitles.
Okay.
It's quite good, but I'm having to concentrate.
She's got to concentrate.
We can hear her, John.
Every 5 minutes to see the cat.
Say it again, please.
We can hear her. You don't need to repeat what she said.
Oh, you can hear her, can you?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't pick up.
She can't hear us. It's the way around.
No, she can't hear you. No,
Yeah.
no, thank God. So what happens now?
Kylie with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Right, well, Madonna is very, very happy because she's going to be working with Jimmy Nail in the new film Evita soon. I'm ecstatic because I'm just introducing him. Great song, great words, great melody about a great river.
One of my famed TV shows is Spender with Jimmy now, who last had a record out in the mid-80s, but it's been worth the wait. Exclusive to Top of the Pops, here's Jimmy, Ain't No Doubt.
Success last year with his uncompromising look at the music biz with Crocodile Shoes, plus a hit single with the same name. He's about to embark on a sellout UK tour. Is there no stopping this tall Geordie person? Everybody wants to play with him, so say Jimmy now!
Into July we go. Andre Agassi won Wimbledon. I had a massive party and watched Lethal Weapon 3. And Jimmy now, well, he was #1 with Ain't No Doubt.
This podcast is brought to you by Aura. By the time you hear about a data breach, your information has already been exposed for months. On average, companies take 277 days to report a breach. That's 9 months where hackers have access to your personal data. That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Aura is an all-in-one digital safety solution that monitors the dark web for your phone number, email, and social security number, sending real-time alerts if your info is found. It also includes a VPN, password manager, and data broker removal to help keep you safe. For a limited time, Aura is offering a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and protect your loved ones. That's AURA.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.